It was raining hard, the kind of rain that felt like the sky itself was crying. On a crowded street in New York, people hurried along, umbrellas up, not noticing anything around them. But just outside a small bakery window sat a little girl. She was soaked, shivering, and holding an empty paper cup in her tiny hands. In a quiet voice, she asked whoever passed by, "Do you have any expired cake?" No one stopped. No one even looked at her until one man did. A man who owned everything money could buy. A man who didn't realize until that moment how empty his life truly was. This is the story of how a billionaire's heart was changed forever by a little girl who only wanted a piece of expired cake. Ethan Cole had been named Forbes Man of the Year 3 times. He owned skyscrapers, tech companies, luxury resorts, everything. But none of it made him happy. Behind his expensive suits and security teams, he lived a lonely life. His days were nonstop work. His nights were silent and cold. One evening, he was being driven through downtown New York in his black Rolls-Royce. He was frustrated after losing another important business deal. City lights reflected off the wet roads like they were broken pieces of stars. As they passed a small bakery, the kind that smelled like someone's childhood memories, Ethan noticed her. A thin little girl, maybe 8 years old, she sat cross-legged on the sidewalk, wearing a torn hoodie far too big for her. Her lips trembled as she stared through the bakery window at a single old cake pushed to the side. Left behind and forgotten. Something inside Ethan suddenly moved. "Stop the car," he said. The driver hesitated. "Sir, this isn't—" "Stop! The car!" Ethan stepped out into the rain, his expensive shoes instantly soaked. The girl looked up at him, surprised. Her eyes were gray, tired, and full of a sadness no child should ever know. "Hey," Ethan said softly. "Are you all right?" She lowered her head, embarrassed. "I'm sorry, sir. I wasn't asking you for money, I just asked the bakery lady if she had any expired cake. I haven't eaten since yesterday." Her voice cracked as she spoke. Ethan stood frozen. People always asked him for partnerships, investments, favors, but never expired cake. The bakery owner came outside, annoyed. "She sits there every evening." "I already told her. We don't give away free food. She should go to a shelter." Ethan clenched his jaw. He almost took out his wallet, but stopped himself. "This wasn't about money. What's your name?" he asked. "Lily," she whispered. "Lily Grace. And your family, Lily?" There was a long pause. "I used to have one. My mom, she passed away 2 months ago. She loved baking cakes like that one. I ran away from foster care. They were mean to me. I only wanted to find her old bakery." Then she said something so simple, yet powerful. "She always told me there's still sweetness left, even in what's expired." Her words hit him deep. Ethan looked again at that discarded cake in the window. The cake no one wanted, forgotten, just like her. He walked inside and bought the entire cake. The baker stared, confused, but Ethan just said, "It's for her." They sat together under the awning outside. They shared the cake with their hands. Every bite seemed like the most precious thing she had ever tasted. When Lily finally smiled, something broke open inside Ethan's heart. He didn't know it yet, but that rainy night was going to change both their lives forever. The next morning, Ethan went back to work, but he couldn't focus. Lily's shaking hands and soft voice stayed in his mind. Numbers, meetings, negotiations. None of it mattered. He returned to the bakery. She wasn't there. He felt a panic he didn't understand. He kept telling himself it wasn't his responsibility, but his heart refused to walk away. He searched the nearby streets until he found her under a bridge, hugging a thin blanket, fast asleep. He knelt beside her quietly. She looked so small, so fragile. When she woke up and saw him, she panicked. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," Ethan said gently. "You did everything right. I just can't leave you like this." He took her to his penthouse, a world completely different from the cold streets. Lily looked around the huge space, the marble floors, crystal lights and giant windows, like she was in another universe. But instead of being excited, she whispered, "It's too big. I don't belong here." Ethan gave a sad smile. "Sometimes, I feel like I don't belong here either." Over the next few weeks, Ethan changed his life. He arranged legal guardianship for Lily. He enrolled her in school. He got her therapy and care, But the biggest change was inside him. He canceled meetings just to eat breakfast with her. He started visiting children's shelters and funding programs for orphans. The media called it the Billionaire's redemption. But for Ethan, this wasn't charity. This was love. One evening, Lily surprised him with a small box. Inside was a tiny charm, a piece of her mother's old cake mold. "I found it in the old bakery," she said quietly. "You helped me believe that even old things can make something new again." Ethan felt tears in his eyes. "Lily, you didn't just find sweetness in things that are expired. You brought sweetness back into my life years past." Ethan restored that little bakery and renamed it Lily's Grace. Every evening, they gave free cake to children who couldn't afford it. Above the door was a sign that Lily's mother once said, "There's always sweetness left, even in what's expired." And every time Ethan saw a child smile while eating a slice of cake, he remembered that rainy night. The night a billionaire found a little girl who only asked for expired cake and discovered his own heart again. Because sometimes the richest people are the ones who seem to have nothing, and the poorest are the ones who forgot how to love. Kindness doesn't cost anything, but it can change everything.